Namaskar friends, let me ask you a question. What do you think is Pakistan's most dangerous front line? Is it Afghanistan on Pakistan's western border? Or is it India on its eastern border? What if I told you it's neither? I'm Tilak Devasher and you are watching The Great Game Reloaded. Pakistan's most dangerous front line is neither Afghanistan nor India, but its classrooms. Surprised? Let me explain. Pakistan Education Task Force described the situation in the country as an education emergency because it is the least effective in the world. In fact, it is a silent but chronic and systemic emergency. It encompasses three elements: out-of-school children, crumbling infrastructure, and the ideological indoctrination of young minds. It has been going on for decades. Let me give you a bird's eye view of the educational structure. Pakistan ranks 113 out of 120 countries in UNESCO's Education for All Education Development Index. Pakistan's overall literacy rate at 60% lags behind most of the country's neighbors. Literacy in rural areas hovers around 50%. What is worse is provincial disparities. Where the literacy rate for Punjab is quoted at 66.25%, it is 42% for Balochistan, whereas for rural women in Balochistan, it is only 26.59%. That is, only 1 in 4 women in rural Balochistan are literate. The net enrollment rate at matriculation for boys in Balochistan is only 18% and just 9% for girls in the province. Pakistan has the world's second highest out-of-school population of children. According to the Economic Survey of 2024-25, around 26 million 5 to 16-year-olds are out of school. The government has neither a strategy for this category of children nor an actual plan that it is implementing. Public sector expenditure on education by federal and provincial governments in financial year 2025 were estimated at 0.8% of GDP. Expenditures on education-related activities during financial year 25 actually decreased by 29.4%. UN agencies recommend spending a minimum around 4% of GDP on education. Nearly 30% of the country's population lived in extreme educational poverty, that is, less than 2 years of education in their lifetime. There is an inherent gender bias harking back to what Syed Ahmad Khan said in 1873, and I quote, "No satisfactory education can be provided for Muslim females until Muslim males are educated," unquote. What about the quality of education or education outcomes? Even when children attend school, what they learn is appalling. The annual survey of education result shows half of class 5 students can't read a class 2 Urdu story. Only 40% can do 2-digit division. According to the Economic Survey of Pakistan, and I quote, "There has been a marked deterioration in language, arithmetic, and comprehension," unquote. According to the United Nations Global Education Monitoring Report, the cumulative impact of a lack of sustained focus on education has resulted in Pakistan being more than 50 to 60 years behind in its primary and secondary education targets. Let me repeat that. Pakistan is more than 50 to 60 years behind in its primary and secondary education targets. Dismal as the statistics are, they don't tell the whole story. The most controversial and crucial aspect of education is the curriculum, or what is actually taught in schools, since this provides a roadmap for future generations. A report titled "The Subtle Subversion: The State of Curricula and Textbooks in Pakistan," published by the Islamabad-based Sustainable Development Policy Institute, found textbooks falsified history, glorified war and martyrdom, promoted jihad over science, marginalized minorities and women. The result? Entire generations growing up in an ideological echo chamber. According to the SDPI, and I quote, the curriculum encourages ideas that are incompatible with the ideals of Pakistan as a forward-looking modern state committed to equal rights and equitable treatment for its citizens, unquote. Government-run schools where students are urged to take the path of jihad and shahadat did more damage than madrasas due to their greater reach. But why is the curriculum distorted in Pakistani schools? The reason is the Islamization of education. It was under Ziaul Haq that Islam systematically permeated the education system. He prescribed the objectives of education to be such, and I quote, so that Islamic ideology permeates the thinking of the younger generation and helps them with the necessary conviction and ability to refashion society according to Islamic tenets, unquote. Let me repeat that. To refashion society according to Islamic tenets. In 1981, the University Grants Commission issued a directive to prospective textbook authors to get students to know and appreciate the ideology of Pakistan and to popularize it with slogans, to guide the students towards the ultimate goal of Pakistan, the creation of a completely Islamized state. Political Islam thus became part and parcel of the curriculum up to university level. There was an increasing emphasis on anti-Hindu and anti-India distortions, where India and Hindus were converted into caricatures with two outstanding features: cowardice and deviousness. There was also an emphasis on the glory of jihad under the influence of Jamaat-e-Islami. A new subject, Pakistan Studies, was made compulsory for all students. As a result, since Zia's time, Islam was used to support the state's own militaristic policies in a way that it appeared to the readers of these textbooks that Pakistan, the Pakistan movement, Pakistan's wars with India, and the Kashmir issue were all connected not only with Pakistani nationalism but with Islam itself. A curious aspect of education is the stress on the ideology of Pakistan, or Nazariya-e-Pakistan, as a cementing force. Curriculum documents state, and I quote, the ideology of Pakistan should never be subjected to discussion, unquote. Is this education or is this indoctrination? Even more curious is that Jinnah had never mentioned it. School curriculum documents insist that the students be taught the ideology of Pakistan as enunciated by the Qaid. Thus, Jinnah was retrofitted to support the ideology of Pakistan, a phrase he never used. One explanation for this is, as the SDPI notes, and I quote, hatred against India and the Hindus has been an essential component of the ideology of Pakistan because for its proponents, the existence of Pakistan was defined only in relation to Hindus, and hence the Hindus had to be painted as negatively as possible, unquote. So what has been the impact of such a pattern of education? For one thing, a major product of Pakistan's educational system is generation after generation of ill-trained and barely literate young men. According to a renowned Pakistani scientist, at a time when there is need of thousands of mathematicians, chemical analysts, engineers, and other experts, Pakistan has a very small number of educational institutions of higher education that were producing quality manpower. The end result of such an education system is that instead of producing scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, Pakistan is producing zealots, dropouts, and foot soldiers of ideology. Given the state of education in Pakistan, especially scientific education, it is hardly surprising that Pakistan is among the least innovative countries in the world. According to the Global Innovation Index, co-published by Cornell University, INSEAD, and the World Intellectual Property Organization, Pakistan ranked 119 out of 128 countries surveyed. The allocation on research was only 0.29% of GDP, far below the world average, as most developed countries spend between 2 to 4% of their GDP on research. The net impact, therefore, is that with such huge numbers being illiterate and semi-illiterate, the type of jobs they can do are best low level. This is adversely impacting the economic development of the country in the 21st century. However, retarding economic development is one aspect. The other is that with such low skill set, the major avenue open to them is to join jihadi ranks. The current education emergency in Pakistan is the result of decades of neglect of the education sector, and it will take decades to be overcome, provided a determined start is made immediately. For Pakistan's leaders to continue to ignore the challenges in education is suicidal, since it has a youth bulge and the possibility of a demographic dividend with more than half the population being below 19 years of age. Those who talk about Jinnah's Pakistan ad nauseum would do well to heed his prophetic words, and I quote, "The importance of education and the right type of education cannot be overemphasized. There is no doubt that the future of our state will depend upon the type of education and the way in which we bring up our children as the future servants of Pakistan." Unquote. Following these words of Jinnah, rather than his hypothetical endorsement of the ideology of Pakistan, is what could pull Pakistan from the abyss it finds itself in. Even so, it will take almost 2 decades before the first products of a modern education system emerge from schools. Till then, the classroom would continue to be Pakistan's most dangerous frontline. Thank you for watching. Do like, share and comment. See you again soon with another topic and another anecdote. Until then, I am Tilak Devasher. Namaskar and Jai Hind.